So the movie starts, and we are introduced to a scientist and his daughter, Wei. Both have a strange mark on their faces that was diminishing their beauty. This scientist had set up a lab in his own house and had been experimenting on something for a very long time. At the same time, Wei was drawing a picture of a flower on paper, which is also called the crop flower. Her dad starts telling her about this flower, that its healing power is immense and it is found deep in the forests after many years. The scientist explains that he had used that flower many times in his experiments. Anyway, after many days, the scientist creates a serum that could hide the mark on his mouth. Essentially, he had prepared a serum that could join the tissues of two things together. Seeing all this, he cuts a piece of skin and, after mixing it with the chemical he made, sticks it on his face. The moment it is applied, that piece of skin starts growing on its own. Its tissues start generating, and now that skin slowly starts covering his entire mouth. After seeing this, he gets very panicked. This wasn't what he had wanted. He only wanted to eliminate the mark on his mouth. But this piece of skin had covered his entire face. After seeing this, the scientist, in fear, cuts the area around his lips, but despite cutting it, it kept reattaching itself. The skin was spreading everywhere, his eyes, nose, everywhere. He kept cutting his lips, nose, ears, everywhere. Seeing him do all this, Wei panics. And finally, in fear, Wei stabs her dad to death with a knife. After this incident, Wei was completely shattered. She had taken her own father's life, and now she had no one left. As time passed, Wei continued her studies. She was very good in her studies, just like her dad, and as a result, she received a scholarship to a major university in the US and left her home to go there. It turns out that in the US, Wei was supposed to stay with her aunt, who also had a daughter named Ing. Ng was not happy about Wei's arrival because she had to share her room. Well, Wei now goes to the room and builds a small temple, placing her dad's picture inside and starting to worship him. Essentially, she considered her own dad her god. When some time passed, we get to see some of her dad's notes and some things, and here we find out that she is still working on the same experiment that caused her dad's death. The next day was her first day at university. On the way, she meets a homeless man who sat on the sidewalk. His face was not worth looking at because it was very badly disfigured. Wei just kept looking at him for a while. When she asked for directions to the university, this man helped Wei, after which she left. After coming to class, the teacher happily introduces Wei to the class, because Wei had scored 100% on the entrance test, and this was the first time in years that this had happened. After class ends, Wei comes to the science lab and tries to take some things from there. While she is doing this, her professor sees her and asks her, "What are you doing here?" Wei explains that she needs to do some experiments for which she came to take a few things. The professor tells her that it is not allowed to take things from here like this. "But," he says, "if you become my lab assistant, you will be able to use the things here." Wei tells the professor that her father was also a scientist, and she wants to take his research forward. She had the research diary in her hand, which the professor started looking at, and he was very surprised seeing it. After Wei left, he researched her dad and found out that Wei's dad was truly a genius scientist. But because he didn't get funding, he couldn't work fully on any of his experiments. The scene shifts, and on the other side, it's shown that Wei's cousin Ing's two friends have come to her house. They start messing with Wei's belongings, and during this, they come across blood-stained tools, experiment-related items, and pictures of scary experiments. After seeing these, all three get scared. Well, the next day arrives, and we are shown that Ng was sitting with her two friends. Wei felt good seeing them. She also wanted to make friends like that. So she went up to them and offered her hand in friendship, and offered to treat them to lunch. Seeing the mark on Wei's face, everyone started avoiding her. They weren't really willing, but after thinking for a while, they agreed to go to the restaurant. But when they saw Wei eating in a strange way there, they all ran away, leaving Wei alone at the restaurant. Wei got the food packed, and coming outside, gave that food to the homeless man with the disfigured face. Sitting here, she started talking to the homeless man, because she seemed very sad today. She started telling the homeless man, "This mark on my face makes me very ugly." Hearing her, the homeless man says, "That's not true. You look great just the way you are." Talking to him made Wei feel good for a while. As she was leaving from here to go home, she met her professor on the way, who gave her a lift. He'd actually brought a proposal for her. He tells her that he will help her complete this research, for which the professor needed Wei's permission because it was Wei's dad's research. Hearing this, Wei became happy and agreed, saying yes, because the professor was the first person who was helping her. From the very next day, they start working on that experiment. The experiment went on for many days, but even today, nothing was working, meaning their experiment wasn't successful. All their hard work seemed to be going to waste. They weren't getting the desired results, and frustrated by this, the professor decided to stop the experiment. On this day, when Wei was looking sad, at that very time, Ingie's friend Alex arrived at the lab. She had actually come to apply for the lab assistant position, and the professor accepted her request too. While going home, she goes with Wei, and on the way, she apologizes to Wei for the previous days and even becomes friends with her. At this time, Alex had a poster with a picture of the same flower that her dad used in his experiments. After seeing this, a lot of thoughts started brewing in Wei's mind. She found out that this flower was displayed at a nearby exhibition. Reading this, she remembered her dad's words that this flower was very necessary for his experiment. So she made a decision. She would acquire that flower at any cost. When night fell, she quietly went to that nearby farmhouse and stole the flower from the exhibition. She went straight to the science lab with the flower and started performing her experiments. The professor and Alex were already hiding in the science lab, whom Wei didn't notice because she was so absorbed in her experiments. She extracted something from the flower and added it to her experiment. After that, she cut the skin on her leg, made 2 pieces of it, and applied that serum to it. The surprising thing was that the serum joined the 2 pieces of skin together. Now, where she had removed the skin, she applies this serum and places a piece of her own skin there. Lo and behold, the skin regenerates again, meaning skin started forming there again. The professor, watching from the window, was stunned seeing all this. He immediately sends Alex away and then comes to Wei and starts questioning her. "What exactly are you doing?" Here, Wei explains to the professor how the serum from that flower had made her experiment successful. Now her experiment was working. While she was showing the skin on her leg to the professor, at that time, Alex misunderstood and started getting jealous of them, and she took some bizarre pictures of Wei, after which she scolded Wei, and Wei left. Wei was startled by Alex's arrival here. In her panic, she even left her notebook in the lab. Seeing it, the professor was very happy. Alex had already sent Wei's photos to Wei's cousin, NG. Meanwhile, the professor got busy trying to translate Wei's dad's diary into English. NG became very angry seeing these pictures, and in anger she broke and destroyed many of Wei's things in her room. When Wei came to her room and saw the condition of her room, she was very sad, and just then, suddenly, NG attacked Wei from behind. Wei was trying to defend herself, but Ing was putting all her effort into killing Wei. In this situation, Wei picks up a pen lying nearby and tries to hit Ing to push her away, but the pen stabs Ing in the throat. It goes right through her throat, and Ing dies right there. Although Wei had no intention of killing her, Ingji still died. In a panic, she picks up Ingji's body and takes it to the bathroom to hide it. Now what would she do with this body? Strange thoughts started coming to her mind. She started cutting Ing's skin right there. After removing the entire skin from Ing's face, she injects the serum she made onto her own face and applies the entire skin to her face. The tissues of Wei's face and Ing's skin merge together. Wei started looking exactly like Ing. Until now, Ing's mom had been out somewhere. As soon as she returned home, she mistook Wei for her daughter Ing, hugged her, and started showing affection. Wei liked this path. She had now transformed herself into Ing. When morning came, she wore Ing's clothes and, impersonating Ing Ji, started enjoying Ing's life. When she went to the university, the first person she met was Ng's boyfriend. This was the first time a boy had come so close to her. Wei felt very good. She was now enjoying Ng's life with Ng's face, and she realized that her life as Wei was very boring. Ng had good friends, she had a boyfriend, she had a loving mother. She even went on a date with Ng's boyfriend. When the two of them were getting close, suddenly, the skin on Wei's face started to come off. Seeing this, the boy was horrified. He got scared and started running away. While backing away, he didn't realize there was a slope behind him, causing him to fall down and die. Seeing all this, a frightened Wei returns home and starts looking for her dad's notebook, because that notebook might hold the secret to making this skin permanent. But she couldn't find her dad's notebooks because they were with the professor. However, this time, there was a little serum left, which she extracted and injected into her skin again, regaining Ing's face. On the other hand, the professor is shown, who is now out searching for that flower which could make the experiment successful. While searching for the flower, the professor gets a call from his translator, who was actually translating that notebook. He starts saying that these experiments could prove to be very dangerous. Performing this experiment could be very risky. Essentially, in clear words, he is telling the professor to stop these experiments immediately. But the professor wasn't listening to a word he said. Wei now comes to the lab looking for her dad's book. But she couldn't find her dad's book anywhere because the professor had given it to his translator. So she immediately calls the professor, who tells her, "Yes, the book is with me, but you won't get it back now because I am going to make that experiment famous under my name." After hearing this, Wei became very angry, but she couldn't do anything, so she left quietly. Just after leaving the university, she spots a girl named Eve. She finds out that Eve was also having an affair with the professor. Now, to take revenge on the professor, she, as NG, invites Eve to her house, and Eve comes over. As soon as she arrives, Wei angrily attacks her. Eve also got scared and, while trying to hide, ended up in the garden. But Wei caught her there too, and, using a drill machine, attacked and killed her. After killing Eve, she also removes Eve's skin and applies it to her face. Now she started looking exactly like Eve, having transformed from Ng. She even styled her hair like Eve's and started dressing like Eve to look exactly like her. During all this, we see that a neighbor's dog was barking a lot seeing all this, so the neighbor called the police. But when the police arrived at the house, they saw Eve in a towel and left without saying anything. The next morning, when she goes to the university with Eve's face, she starts feeling very good because Eve was a very popular student there. Everyone was happy to see her. Now in Eve's form, she goes to the professor's house. She knew she would find her dad's notebook here. The professor didn't know that it was Wei in Eve's form. He lets her into his house. Wei starts searching the entire house for her dad's notebook, but she couldn't find the book anywhere. Angry, she returns when night falls. She starts disposing of the 2 murders she had committed. First, she dumps the bodies of Ng and Eve in a pond. Then she starts checking Ng and Eve's phones, where she finds that picture of her and the professor that Alex had tried to use to defame her. She now uses that picture against the professor and emails it to the authorities. When the authorities found out that the professor was using girls for his benefit, they immediately had the professor arrested. But the professor's connections were also very strong. The very next day, he got out on bail and returned home to start the experiments again, which was actually Wei's dad's. After following the steps, he finally managed to prepare the serum and tried to join 2 pieces of skin tissue. To his surprise, because of that chemical, the 2 skin tissues joined, meaning his experiment had also succeeded. After this success, the professor was overjoyed. During this time, we see Wei, that is Eve, arrive here. Actually, Wei arrives here in Eve's form. The professor gets very excited and makes her sit in his living room while he goes to get some food and drink for himself. Now Wei needed her dad's notebook here. As soon as he leaves, she starts searching for her notebook when she finds the serum that the professor had just made in the cabinet. Without delay, she takes the serum and runs away. After she ran away, the professor became a little suspicious, and when he opened his cabinet to check, his serum wasn't there. At night, Wei was at her home with her real face. Just then, Alex comes to her and tells her that both their friends have mysteriously disappeared. She was quite sad about this. Wei hugged her and gave her support. Alex needed water, so when she opened the fridge, she saw that the cut-up parts of her two friends' bodies were frozen inside. After seeing this, she was horrified and started screaming. Before anyone could hear her screams or she could go out and tell someone, Wei quickly covered her mouth with cling film, suffocated her, and killed her too. She hadn't even hidden the body yet when her doorbell rang. The professor was outside who, seeing the door unlocked, entered the house. Inside, Wei was sitting in a very strange manner. She started laughing weirdly the moment she saw the professor. The professor also found this very strange. But here, when she congratulates the professor on the success of his experiment, the professor also becomes happy. But then Wei says angrily, "This wasn't yours. It was my dad's experiment." The professor, now ignoring Wei's words, moves towards the fridge to get his serum. The moment he opens it, he sees the dead bodies inside and is terrified. Controlling this man had now become very difficult. But Wei showed her cunning here too, and she stabbed a sedative injection into the professor's neck, knocking him unconscious. After a while, when the professor regained consciousness, he saw that Wei had skinned his entire body. Seeing this, he started screaming loudly. Wei was now filling him with that serum, and then applied a piece of skin to the professor's body. This skin started growing on its own, just like it had grown on Wei's dad's face at the start of the movie. Wei had placed a straw in the professor's mouth at this time. Apart from the straw, the skin started spreading everywhere on his body. Because of the skin, the professor started suffocating and died within moments. Before dying, the screams he let out were heard by his neighbor. So the neighbor informed the police again. Seeing the police arriving, Wei panicked and ran out of the house and fled because she knew she would be caught. The police saw her running and chased after her. She reaches the homeless man and asks him for help. The homeless man already thought well of Wei because she had always treated him kindly on Wei's request. The homeless man hides her under his blanket, and the police can't find her. As Wei sat there, the serum she had with her suddenly broke. Because the serum broke, the homeless man's and Wei's tissues started merging. Their bodies also started fusing with each other, and the two of them turned into a strange monster. Wei could no longer do anything. That monster sat there. Just then she saw her aunt who had come there looking for her daughter, Ing. She couldn't tell her aunt about Ing, meaning it was confirmed here how cursed this serum had become. Whoever came into contact with it was destroyed. And with this, the story ends here. If you'd like to watch and understand more movie explanation videos like this, don't forget to write next in the comments below. Thanks for watching.